Yo. Damage per second podcast. That's DPS podcast. Back again. Back for the 200th time. 200 episodes with me, your host. I'm about to call myself my co-host.
Let's go.
SloMoBackSlap with my co-host, Gaming Forte. What is up, Forte, man?
Man, that is almost 4 years of podcasting.
Is it?
52 weeks in a year. So we're like 8 short, 52 weeks in a year. For 200 episodes. So at 208? Yeah, 208 will be at
4 years.
At 4 years, so 8 more weeks. We
Really
probably hit 4 years already due to the fact that there was weeks that we either had to push the show or something like that, but
or we skipped it or something.
Or we
like
skipped
that.
a week.
Yeah.
So we definitely been doing this for 4 years, but just number wise, 208 will be officially 4 years of podcasting on with the homie SloMo, and it feels good, man. It feels really good.
It's been really about like 5 months on this channel though, because we were going back and forth on our individual channels. For the vast bulk of this, I'm thinking probably like somewhere in like the 180s is when we started to kind of do it just on this channel. But I think the transition has been good. We haven't quite updated the intro yet. We got some of all the other changes that we wanted to do done, but we're bear with us. We'll get that done. But I just wanted to shout out a couple people in the chat here. Shout out to Tiger King, says happy 200th. In case I don't make it back tonight, have a great 200th episode. Appreciate you, Tiger King. Spider 13's in the house. Rob, what's up, Rob? He says congratulations. Thank you, sir. Thank you. But yeah, it's been a good ride, man. There's going to be many more coming. And I like kind of like the cadence of things that we're doing now. We're doing more. It's not just the podcast on this channel. It's other stuff. It's live streams. It's a good time, man. It's a good time. I hope everyone. What's up, True Sir? I hope everyone that has been enjoying the show is enjoying more content here. Let's go ahead and just get into it. As you see, it ain't a lot of topics going on. Forte, what have you been playing since we talked last week?
Octopath Traveler. I am halfway through the first one. I've been playing it on my main PC. I also downloaded it on my laptop. So when I was upstairs, like getting ready for bed, I played like an hour of it on that. One of the cool things about Game Pass being able to just, go from one place to the other and seamlessly be able to play your games. I mean, same thing if you were on Steam, if you're on PC, it's the same thing. But yeah, been playing that. Of course, NCAA new season just started today, season 3 for Ultimate Team. So been running, getting ready for that. I am in the process of and I'll talk to you about this later. I actually have been working on that thing because I've been feeling better. Yep, I have been working on it. I've been feeling better. Like, I don't know, everybody know. I started the...
Are you working on the last thing I sent you, or are you working... What part of you working? Because this is
the last thing you sent me.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, the last thing you sent me.
I had an idea, some stuff to add to it. But
that's fine. Yeah.
No, that's fine. I'll wait until you're finished with whatever you wanted to do to it, and then I'll see it. And then if what I wanted to add doesn't fit, then just forget about it. But if it fits, then I'll continue the kind of.
I started taking the I forget it's the Manjaro, the one that's not the Olympic shot. Ozempic shot. I took that one and I'm on my second week of it. So I kind of feel better this week. It does make you nauseous and stuff like that. So that first whole week it was you don't know what that is?
No, what did we talk about?
Oh,
I'm
I'm just talking
lost.
about. I would just talk about why I feel better and stuff. But we don't got to go into all that.
So it's a okay. Yeah, you don't have to get into details.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no,
it's good.
yeah,
It's good.
yeah.
You're feeling better, man.
Yeah, I feel better now. So that's why I've been like, if you were to see, like, listen, if you were to see my game, there's a reason I haven't been on. If you notice all the podcasts that I have been doing over the course of the last month and a half, I haven't been on camera at all. Like, I haven't turned the camera on. If you were to see, this is how exhausted I've been over the last like 2-3 weeks. Like my game room setup, like everything was just disarray. It was like if I was to like tilt that camera down at a 90-degree angle, you can see the floor around my setup. You would think like, yo, are you a repair shop? It was so much stuff.
Like my office. My office is always. I got networking equipment everywhere. I got tech stuff, headsets, controllers, tools for because we're men and we have to fix things around the house. So we got.
So
tools,
my wife. So my wife. So today I come home and my wife said, "You owe me $50." I'm like, "Why?" She said, "Oh, you'll see." I said, "Okay, well, let me get ready for the podcast." And I come downstairs to the basement. And I look and I'm like, holy crap. She made my kids come down here and clean this. So I was like, oh, I owe my kids $50. But no, it's I'm definitely feeling better now. I'm happy that they did it because it's like I was like so backed up on it. I would just, how you just get so like dug in and just like, I really don't want to do this. And then one thing turns into a week turns into another week, and then it's a month later, and you're like, I need to fix this. But yeah, it's done. But yeah, that's kind of all I've been kind of doing over the course of the last couple of weeks, or the last week. But outside of we closed 2 stores in our area, so I've been going back and forth, moving product from my store, from their stores to my store, because profit is everything. So I was a little busy doing that during the week and stuff too. So yeah, but it's cool, man. 200 episodes in and loving every bit of it with the homie SloMo. What you been up to for the last week and what you been playing?
Well, for myself, real quick, shout out to Aragada says turn up the mic SloMo. I think he means you. So let me.
Oh, I can turn myself up. Hold on. Oh, speaking of which, let me tell you that I do want to give you. I've been giving you your flowers about streaming and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Your playthrough of Slay the Princess was incredible.
Yo, I was gonna talk about that.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I was sitting there listening I was like watching it while I was laying on the couch, just listening to you. Good thing you were in Discord, because I would have definitely jumped in there to make fun of you. But I'm sitting there listening to that. You over here saying, she ain't scared me. She scared y'all. She ain't got me jumping over here. And you was like, why she got swords coming out of her arm? And dog, that game had me dying. And then when that person came in, is the one guy that came in, and I know you're going to talk about it. That guy that came in and said, yo, bro, this is my 20th time watching a playthrough, and I'm seeing things that I've never seen before in this playthrough. And I'm like, yo, I have to play this game.
Leave me to find the least likely path to the finish line, and
right. Exactly.
I feel like so for those who missed the stream, last Friday was the last Friday? I did I played Slay the Princess, and we did Until Dawn, which was awesome, and everyone wanted Silent Hill 2, and I was like, yeah, I mean, I know why y'all want me to play Silent Hill 2, but we'll get to that in a bit. Let me I saw this game and I bought it a while ago. Like, I bought Slay the Princess back it came out last year, but I bought it like sometime in the spring of this year, and it just kind of just sat there on, you know, on my game storage drive, and I just didn't like touch it. But it's just something told me it's time to finally play this. And it was probably due to the fact that I probably at this point have beat the least amount of games. Not that I haven't been playing games, I've been playing a ton of games, but I beat the least amount of games that this year than I have in a very, very long time. And so I was like, let me knock out a game that's smaller. So I did Indica, which was like about 4 hours. That was dope. And I was like, I want to do Slater Princess on stream because that one's definitely choice based, right? And so I thought it would be like an hour, man. This stream ended up being 4 hours, and
it was so funny. It's so funny.
Either later on find out it could have been like 15 minutes, it could have been 20 minutes, depending on your choices. It was a good time. And just shout out to the developer of that game, because they definitely really, I would say, put their foot in it. You know, it's a very like simple, as far as like technically wise, simple game, but the amount of variation that's with the dialogue, the different voices. Shout out to the two that basically only has 2 voice actors, but they're doing multiple voices, which is just amazing. And it was a really good game. I enjoyed that. We might have to do another stream this weekend. I don't know.
Once the narrator started cussing, I was like, oh Lord.
the narrator was great, you know, like
it was.
And I watched some of the stream back, and just kind of like, now that I know like everything, I'm just thinking about like some of the stuff I was doing. I was just like, oh, the narrator's cheating me. He's trying to trick me. Oh, no, it's the princess. It's the princess. I'm just like, I was all over the place, just not knowing what the heck is going on. But it was awesome. It was a good time.
You tried to seduce her. You was like, well, maybe I just need to seduce her. And she was like, no, that's not gonna work. You're just gonna die now.
Right. That was just so funny, yo.
That was like, dude, I really, really, truly enjoy watching your streams. It's like I get happy when I watch you stream at night, and I'm like, oh, I can watch SloMo do something crazy or stupid in the stream and laugh about it. But it was funny. I love in the chat. Trust me, in the chat was all bought in.
Okay, hold on, give me a second. Because you're not louder.
Well, it's you?
Not, it's me. I'm too low, so I don't. Give me a second.
Let me turn. I'm about to say, because I had my thing turned up to 60 on my thing. I turned mine back down a little bit because I didn't think it was me.
So I got my mic at maximum, and then I think it's probably, the issue is likely with Elgato Wavelink. It's probably got me lower than I need to be. All right, I bumped myself up a little bit, y'all. So just let me know if that worked or not, and if it did, then cool. What's up, True Bleed? What's up? And oh yeah, Arigato already said that. Yeah, so Slater Princess, that was one. The other game I've been playing, as you see, I got, you know, gameplay from Cyberpunk playing. I need CDPR. I know they said this is the last patch we're doing, but we talked about it a few episodes ago. You can't leave it like this. You can't. You're not supposed to. And here's a technical, you know, thing, you know, thing that just you should know on tech. In tech, you don't leave your last update with something new that you introduce. That's not how you do that. You need to, your last update needs to be fixing as much as you can that you're allowed to fix of the things you've already introduced. And they introduced FSR 3.0, which is not even the latest version of it, which is just, to me, it seems like either AMD paid them to do this, or they just didn't get enough time to do the latest version. But that needs to be fixed. They said that they were going to make it so that you can use AMD's frame generation on any upscaler, but it doesn't work on It may work with XESS, but it does not work with DLSS. So if you turn to DLSS, you can only use the DLSS frame generation. So it's a lot. So it's not. I'm not saying they false advertise, but it didn't work the way it was supposed to work to me. So it tells me, yeah, they didn't really test it, and it dropped frame rates for like everybody, like on average, like 20 frames. So now I play, instead of playing on the game at like DLSS quality or balanced, I'm now playing with if I turn path tracing on at DLSS performance, because that's the only way I can do 4K DLSS with path tracing on and max settings and still be over 60 frames per second. So they got to fix this. But either way, I'm still creating different builds. I got a new build now that kind of mixes like being an assassin and being a net runner at the same time. I'm really enjoying that. I'm kind of building more towards it, but it's pretty cool. And I'm also getting closer to getting the secret ending. So I did the correct dialogue that you have to do, which is nothing. I can't stand that CDPR did, but you have to have like this specific dialogue with this very random conversation with Johnny Silverhand, aka what's the actor's name?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, thank you. You have to have a very specific responses to Keanu Reeves' character in one conversation that you have in a specific mission that allows you to, at the end, when you have like the different options, the different paths you want to take and different endings you could do, if you just don't say anything for after 5 minutes, then Keanu Reeves' character will suggest that forget all the other options, you and me go do this final mission, just us two. And it's like, I really want to experience that, because all the other final missions, they're good. I'm not complaining about them, but the enemies are, considering where my builds are, the enemies are like way weaker than me. And if you do this secret final mission, the enemies are like at like max level of the game. And so now I'm like, okay, like I want to really test, the builds that I have, really kind of put them to the test. So I will I'll keep working on that. I might even stream the secret mission when I finally got to the point where I'm ready to do it, because my current characters, I can't do it with any of my playthroughs on PC. And on PlayStation, I can do it with those, but I haven't done all the main missions to get to the end yet. So I'm just kind of like working my way there. The gameplay I'm showing the Jumbotron, of course, from PC, it don't look like that on consoles, but so there's that. I've been playing, I tried the first Berserker Kazan, which is this Souls-like game with like cell shaded animation. It looks dope. It looks really good. It is only the technical test is only on, I don't even know, I think technical test is the wrong way to say it. Technical alpha is only on consoles. So I played it on Xbox, and if you're into Souls likes, this is it. When this comes out, you're really going to enjoy this one. If you're into Souls likes, it's very good. Very parry heavy. So if you're bad at parries, like myself, you're probably going to have a little bit of frustration. But I think the parry window is very reasonable. So I it's not that bad, even for me. So if I can deal with it, then you can deal with it. It's pretty good. So I enjoy playing that. When that comes out, that's definitely going to be a cop for me. And of course, Metaphor Fantastico. I know it's Fantasia, but I call it Fantastico because it is fantastic. For those who are playing the game, I am in the Browhaven area. If that'll let people know where I'm at in the game without actually me.
But how many hours spoilers. Is that?
I mean, I don't know for certain. I'm at 28 hours though. So I'm 28 hours into the game. And I kind of feel like I'm not close to finishing it. So I think I saw on average the game is like it takes like 75 to 100 hours to beat. I'm enjoying myself though. I do feel like I will finish this before Dragon Age: The Veilguard comes out, which kind of for me means that I'm probably not going to play through the previous Dragon Age games, or considering I'm playing this. So
you ain't gonna have time.
I ain't gonna have time now, but I'm fine with it because I'm really enjoying Metaphor. I love the different archetypes. I'm unlocking more archetypes, and then how you get them revealed to you. I'm doing all the side quest stuff. These boss fights, man, this is what I really enjoy about it more than say the Persona games that Atlas does, is the difficulty. When you look, because you go into like these dungeons, and sure, in Persona, you know, when you start to get low on MP is when you basically need to check out, leave the dungeon, get to a safe room, and then you can just, you know, the very next day in game, you can then start off where you were at. It has that. But also, you get into these battles and you think you good, and you can get wiped very easily, like really easily. Like you have to really be smart about how you handle like certain archetypes, how you handle enemies, and understanding the game mechanics. So, you know, it's people just think just because it's turn-based that, oh, I've played a dozen turn-based RPGs before. It's your typical fare. In some ways, yes, and then in other ways, no. So it's really good. I think I got some misgivings with it, but it's no big deal. But that's what I've been playing, man. I've been having a good time. Playing games as usual, you know. That's how we
the funny thing is, there was one game that I didn't mention that I booted up and played because I haven't played it in a while, and I feel ashamed that I did it. You want to guess what? That game is?
Destiny.
Yeah, I booted it up. It dropped me. I booted it up because guess what? I haven't played. This is the thing. I hadn't played Destiny since I got the 4090 because remember I had stopped playing. So I was like, let me just boot it up, you know, because they announced a lot of new stuff. And I was like, I just said, boot it up and see what happens. So I booted it up. It drops me. It gives you this whole story thing because I'm like so lost right now. It drops me like it does a traditional thing where it drops you in the starting mission. So I was doing keyboard and mouse on this, and I never played Destiny with keyboard and mouse. So I was just like, you know, I just started playing and I was like, you know, WASD. And I was like, oh, okay, I got to get used to this again. And I actually played the whole mission. I was actually surprised because that's how much I was not taking it serious, that I played literally keyboard and mouse. Finished the mission. And I was like, that wasn't that bad. And I'm getting 100. I was getting like 218 frames a second at max settings. I was like, oh, this is great. So I finished the mission, and then I got to like a dialogue wall, and guess what I did? I instantly was like, escape, F1, exit game, and I was done. I got my feel. I paused. So I actually, but yeah, that game run, that is a very, very well optimized game. Like I was like, yo, it felt so good. But yeah, I just wanted to let you. But I left the game slow-mo. I didn't linger.
I think I fixed it.
I didn't linger or anything. I got the heck up out of there.
Well, I'm somewhat concerned about you playing that game again, but at the same time, I'm glad you didn't play for too long. So I can't be too upset.
I think I was 30 minutes. I think I was like 30 minutes and I was out basically.
Yeah, shout out to Ramon, and he said, "Let me just take this tiny hit of cocaine real quick." Right.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man! Before we start getting into the topics, real quick, shout out the Snow Dragons has a question. And by the way, I think I fixed the issue with my mic. If you guys could in the chat could just let me know a little bit of feedback on the mic, then I think that we should be good on that front. But Snow Dragon says, just want to ask a PC opinion. Do you think Xbox has to go to PC versions of games so they are not locked to a generation? How can they go against PC handheld that came out every year? I do think that, and thank you, Snow Dragon, on the mic. I do think that is the case, and I think they understand that. That's why they're kind of like doing that kind of talk with Sarah Bond was talking about forward compatibility. Trying to make sure that people have their games coming with them to future generations, because if they go to their Xbox, like their PC platform, if say the handheld they're doing and the next console, whatever kind of hardware they're doing is based off of the PC app, they barely got any games on there. The games that they have in there are the games, there are their first party games or games that are in Game Pass. And any of the third party stuff, or especially the games that you had on Xbox and Xbox 360 and Xbox One or whatever that's backwards compatible, you don't have those games available to you. So they have to find a way to be able to bring people's libraries forward with them. And if they want to alleviate the issue that isn't going to go away, where games are missing their platform and they're not doing what's necessary, I think, to deal with that issue, then moving your platform to a more open aspect where you're having other storefronts in there. You're having Epic Game Store in there, for example. Epic Games gets all the games, even if the PC community don't play them. But if you have Epic Game Store already kind of built into the OS of this Xbox, this new Xbox, where people don't even see you don't have to go to the Epic Game Store launcher to be able to have Epic Game Store games available. That's a way to kind of alleviate an issue that you have with your platform not being as big as your competitors and missing out on games. So I that's just my idea on it. Forte, what do you think?
No, I think that's about exactly where I kind of land on it. The biggest thing that Xbox just needs to do is just make sure that compatibility is at the forefront of what they do, because, the one thing that I think they kind of struggle with is, we talked about localization and everything like that. The fact that a lot of these games are still beholden to the lower common denominator when it comes to the console side of it. Yes, PC can overpower it and take it a little bit further. But I just really want to see them. They're never going to do it. I just want them to cut the leg off and just move forward with just the one console approach and go from there. And then that would kind of, I think, help with the compatibility and stuff going forward. But I also would like to see if there was a way to add, if they had some type of emulation inside of the Xbox dashboard on PC for 360 emulation, because that was something I was actually talking to somebody at the store about. Why he said he didn't want to get rid of his Xbox is because he has a very robust backwards compatibility list of all the Xbox 360 games, and that's something that you can't use. I mean, you can do it on PC. There are emulators on PC for that, but there should be something that Xbox facilitates and actually has available for you to be able to play those games if you already have them, say, in Game Pass, where they're part of Game Pass, or if there are games that you already own and they're tied to your Xbox Live under your license and stuff. So that's kind of all the things I kind of want them to do to kind of move forward, because now they're going into this realm of, the console doesn't really matter. They've been there for a while. But the games and stuff that you either purchase or the content that you are consuming through their services, that does matter. And, so how do we get all that content to still be prevalent, going into the future? I have no doubt that anything Xbox One and forward will work, because they kind of started with that generation. But when they introduced all the older stuff, not saying they have to do it, but I know there is a group of people out there that would love to see that stuff be implemented on their side to be able to still be able to, play those games and stuff like that. Because they did just announce that you can stream in the future. You'll be able to stream your your games, the games that you own through xCloud. You don't have to have Game Pass to do it. If you already own the game, you'll be able to stream it. That was something that I saw OBM talking about. You know, he's really plugged into stuff like that. So if that's the case, and then we're working on the fact that we can actually take the games we own and stream them, then the next step is how can we get the rest of those games emulated on the PC so they can be able to, you know, not have to jump through hoops and ladders. Xbox should already have that facilitated on their end for people to do it. But that also comes down to them just having a better, you know, vehicle to disperse these games in the first place and not the Microsoft Store.
Right. And Snowdragon, I kind of want to make sure we get through the topics fairly quickly, because at the end we are going to do like an AMA, just kind of pretty much ask us anything. It's a pretty light week when it comes to gaming news. And so I don't really think we got a ton to talk about. You see what the topics are, but after this, after we knock those topics out, we're going to get into just anything that, you know, the chat wants to discuss. So get those questions ready and hold on to them. So when we get to the end, we can definitely discuss. But in the meantime, we had a showcase today.
We did.
And that showcase was the Xbox Partner Preview Showcase. And I would say it wasn't bad. It was all right. I enjoyed it, and you know, maybe Forte, you might feel differently. I don't know, but we'll get into it. I think Remedy was prominently featured in the showcase. They showed 2 trailers, one for Alan Wake 2's DLC, The Lake House, which has a tie-in to Control and shows off. I forgot the name of this actress's name, but she's been in a lot of stuff, and she does a lot of like roles in voice acting and motion capture in video games. I forgot what TV shows she's been in a lot of stuff, but she's very well known. I just can't remember her name. You know, I'm terrible with names. So she's in this as seems like the main character in this, and she seems to be a agent for the FBC. And there is a spinoff, a Control co-op spinoff called FBC Firebreak, which is a first-person shooter co-op game that takes place in the oldest house, which is the setting of Control as well. So, Forte, what were your thoughts on what Remedy showed in the showcase?
You know, the funny thing is when Remedy first came on, when I started watching it, I was actually unboxing copies of Remedy of Alan Wake in the store, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting." As soon as this first trailer I'm watching is about Alan Wake. And I'm looking at the game that they say on the screen is coming out October 22nd. I was like, oh, cool. That's actually was like kind of just like, wow, okay, that's good. But I've always been a fan of their just the stylized approach that they have for it, and the way that they go about and showcasing the game and stuff. I think it was really good. It was like a really good start, a game that's coming out in a very, very near future that you don't have to really wait for. And Remedy always does very, very good when it comes to like their trailer productions and stuff like that. You know,
absolutely.
So when I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, this is Remedy all the way. And then I like how at the very beginning she's like, author called Wake, and I was like, oh yeah, we already know what this is. So it was I liked it, and I liked the overall. I like the overall presentation they went with it. I mean, pretty much the whole show had really good presentation, but like you said, they had probably the most screen time than other developers. And like I said, I think it's mostly due to the fact that they do have a game that's literally releasing in 5 days at this point. Right.
And I think I'm not a fan of Alan Wake, and you know, it's not. Oh, it's scary. It's not scary. I don't think Alan Wake. I thought Alan Wake 2 to be boring. But that's just me, right? I thought it was boring. But I might, because this is a tie-in, the Lake House is a tie-in to Control, and I adore Control. I really enjoyed it. I thought the gameplay was fun. I love the powers. Although this is excuse me, not you're not playing as Jessie Fadden, I think is her name, in Control. You're not playing as her, so you don't have her abilities. It does seem to play a lot like, say, Alan Wake 2. You know, it's gameplay where you just, you got a gun and you're kind of doing whatever you got to do in Alan Wake to kind of survive. But I don't want to miss out because they are working on Control 2 and they're in full development of that right now. I don't want to miss out on any kind of tie-ins and any kind of like other things that may go on that lead into Control 2 that may have me a little lost. So I want to play it. I just don't know if I have to complete Alan Wake 2 to play it, which might deter me from doing it because I don't want to play something that's boring in order to get to something I'm actually interested in. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I do have some reservations with Firebreak? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
I got some reservations with that. So if you saw the trailer for Firebreak, it's a first person shooter. It's in first person perspective. The gunplay did not seem all that impressive to me. And then as I was watching it, you know what came to mind? Crossfire X.
Oh my God.
Because they worked on Crossfire X.
They did work on Crossfire X, you're right.
And Crossfire X has some of the worst gunplay I've ever played in a first-person shooter. And at the time, I was kind of like, well, this is the Remedy's first time really even developing a game and like this. It's not third-person perspective, so I'm not like knocking them too hard for it. But now that you're coming out with this co-op, this co-op first-person shooter. And I'm like, all right, well, hopefully you've gotten better at this since Crossfire X. Because, I mean, I think there's only you can't get any worse. It's got to get better. But I kind of wish it was in third person perspective. Because it also didn't look like, and I don't know for certain, I'm not saying, and I planned on doing the research on this, but I just didn't have the time. I love their game engine. Northlight engine, it's pretty heavy on CPU, but the game physics and like how you can blow something up and you see it shredded in pieces of whatever you blew up, like fall naturally. Like their game engine is very good. And we've seen what they've been able to do with Alan Wake 2 with like path tracing. Like they've always been at the forefront of visuals in their games. And from what I saw, I know Firebreak is still incomplete and not quite the final product yet, but that looked like it might be Unreal Engine instead of Northlight. And if that is the case, that kind of disappoints, because I'm just like, why? If that is true, why switch game engines? Well, maybe it was easier to do so. I don't know, but you go in the first person perspective, which you don't really do, and instead of third person perspective, which I would have preferred, and you're very good at. I just don't understand some of the choices that they've made. But if it works out, oh well, I'm not going to complain. If it works out, that's awesome. I just kind of thought that was a little strange and gives me a little pause. What do you think about Firebreak?
Yeah, I was looking at the screen when I was watching it, and I was like, not that it looked generic or anything. It just looked like, yeah, I think it was just the gameplay just didn't sit with me too well. I mean, like I said, you're not playing it, so it's kind of hard to like gauge what gameplay is. But just looking at the trailer in general, I was like, it you know what it is? Their stylized way of like talking about in their game just didn't fit the overall game that they were showing. Like when they were like with the overall, like with the narrator talking over it, that's what Alan Wake and Quantum Break and games like and Control. That's what I expected. That it's just like they kind of used that formula to like kind of showcase this game, and I was like, okay, this looks like it looks cool. I mean, I like the overall because it is co-op, isn't it? If I remember correctly,
it's 3-player co-op.
Yeah, 3-player co-op. So I like the ability. I like the fact that they are dipping their toes in something that is outside of their wheelhouse when it comes to co-op. We need more co-op games like that, and it could definitely be a game that is fun. But it just like the presentation of it kind of threw me off because it doesn't fit the type of game that they were talking about. But when it came to like just looking at the gameplay, I was like, it's okay. I mean, is it something that you're going to drop to play, if you're playing another game? Probably not, but it's going to be something that's going to be there later on. And just like when it came to Helldivers, if it catch fire and people just like it. So that's kind of where I sit with it. But I just didn't like the way that they not portrayed it, but the way that they announced it, because they announced it like they announced their single player games, and it just didn't fit.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit of research to find out if Fire Break is in North Light Engine or in Unreal. I would prefer North Light, but something to note, and shout out to Miko in the chat for bringing it up. He thinks that they don't have confidence in the game because they're putting it in PS Plus and Game Pass day one, which is something that will allow a lot of people who are somewhat on the fence with it, which I think might be a significant number of people, considering it's very different from what Remedy typically does. Remedy makes single player, third person perspective, story driven action adventure games. This is what they make. This is their bread and butter, and then kind of on the edge of action adventure and suspense horror, kind of games. This will be a bit different, where it's more like suspense horror, but third person co-op. So something like what's that game that you, me, Luca, and the real Masterlin? Shout out to Masterlin. I haven't talked to him in a while.
GTFO. Yeah,
GTFO. I could see it kind of being like a more fun version of GTFO. I did think the abilities that, and some of the, because like if you understand the lore of Control, then you kind of understand like when I can see some people have been confused when one of the agents threw out like a gnome doll, and it just kind of sat there and then blew up, and it's just like they probably like, well, what is that? But then people who have played Control will know that's probably an object of power. So it's just like, I thought that was pretty dope, but I just kind of like I need to see more. And it's supposed to be coming out, I think, what did they say? Did they say early 2025 or just 2025? I can't remember. But it's supposed to be coming out next year.
They put it said wish list. They didn't even have a date on it.
Yeah, I was actually surprised to see this game, because someone we know told me about this game years ago when it was just Project Condor. They had seen it themselves and they were excited about it, and I was like, oh cool, all right. But this is before Crossfire X came out. Then after Crossfire X came out, and I was like, this Remedy, okay. And then I didn't really hear anything else about Project Condor, but then I remember hearing, like, not from the person that said it looked good, but I remember hearing at some point that Project Condor got canceled. And so I was shocked to see the game there, because I was like, I thought this game was canceled, but now it's coming out next year. I'm like, wait, what? So I don't know. Like, I don't know what was like real or not real with that, but it's going to be in Game Pass. It's going to be in PS Plus. I'm going to try it. If it's fun, you know me. I'm always for a good time with a shooter with friends. So we'll give it a shot. Next, I wanted to talk about Bloober Team. So Bloober Team And I'm not calling them Bloober Team no more. I said I won't call them Bloober Team no more because they did a good job with Silent Hill 2. So Bloober Team has a new IP that they showed at this Xbox Partner Preview called Chronos: The New Dawn. I actually saw, I think it was Shinobi that recently posted a bunch of information that he got about it. So yeah, here it is. It's a new sci-fi survival horror IP by Bloober Team. It's coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC in 2025. So they must have had like a separate team working on this than the Silent Hill 2 team, because it's just like to get 2 different AAA games out back to back, like year after year. You can't do that with just one team. It's just almost impossible. Right. Set in a grim world where Eastern European brutalism meets retro futuristic tech. That's clearly like a PR statement from Bloober, because what the heck is that? What is this sentence? I don't even know what any of that meant. Eastern European brutalism. I mean, that's is there a special brand of brutalism that's in Eastern Europe that's not in, say, like Africa or South America, or, you know, the patented United States brand of being brutal? I mean, like, is it like instead of pressing the button and bombing somebody, is it? I don't know. What are you talking about? I don't know. This is the world experienced a cataclysmic event called the Change that alter humanity into nightmarish creatures. That sounds pretty cool. You play as a traveler, an agent for the collective, tasked with scouring the wasteland of the future in search of specific time rifts that will transport you back to 1980s era Poland. This is really, I mean, look, this is interesting. I find it interesting. Your survival depends on your ability to strategize and plan ahead and use full arsenal of whatever. Okay, that's fine. I'm cool with all that. And I'm really not, like, you look at the gameplay, I'm probably not going to play this kind of game. This look a lot like Silent Hill 2 with just, like, dude's got a spacesuit on or something. But
do they try to stylize it up?
Do we trust Bloober Team with a new IP?
Nope.
Because it's one thing to take another game that's already established. They got people who are already kind of already looking into it because of nostalgia. You got people who already know the story, and that's part of it that you don't have to worry about, because the story of a classic game that everyone has already considered to be good is already done. You don't need to change any of that. All you need to do is modernize, rebuild this game for a modern audience, and modernize controls and a few other things. But just basically, it's nothing in game development is easy,
right?
But it is easier than building a whole new IP on its own. And so, do we trust Bloober Team to do this? Because it's like, are we going to get another Blair Witch or the Medium, or did they kind of turn a corner with Silent Hill 2, and now we can expect better from them in the future? What do you think, Forte?
I think it's the second thing you mentioned, because I can't trust. Okay, they did do Layers of Fear. Layers of Fear was really good, but that was before that was before the Median, before Blair Witch and everything. So my biggest thing is they do really well when it comes to like recreating other people's IP. Like you said, it's easier to do. I'm not going to say, I'm not trying to like take away the fact that they had to do it. They did a remake of Silent Hill, which is doing really, really well, but it's easy to do, or it's easy to say that we can't give you full credit for that due to the fact that the story was written, the overall everything about the game was already set. All you had to do was go in and redo all the access, redo the audio, and stuff like that. And there's probably a little bit more to that, and not trying to like belittle what they did, but the story was already set. It's like for me, I can't give you full credit for, taking somebody else's stuff and making it, doing what you did with it.
Forte, what game did they make on Xbox? What was the name of that game?
The Median.
The Median.
That was a new IP.
The Median?
The what? The Median, right?
No.
It's the Median, right?
It's the Medium.
Or is the it actually is the Medium. I didn't play it, so
it's funny. Look, I call it the mid because it was definitely mid. It was we can just call it the mid because it was a mid game. Yeah, but no, but they made. You thought it was the median. It's funny.
Yeah, the median. No, but that game was made by them, and unfortunately, I can't give you credit when your last IP. And guess what? The Medium looked good. It was a good looking game for the most part. This game looks really good.
Visually, it looked fine. I think I'll say this about the Medium, and I always appreciate when developers do this. It's just that the execution of it is always hit or miss. But I appreciate developers trying to do something different. So what Bloober did in the Medium is they actually had two different worlds running simultaneously, and that was very difficult to run. That's why they didn't have performance options. It's just at 30 FPS and struggling to keep 30 FPS on the Xbox Series X and S. But and then on PC it was kind of a mess at launch. But I don't know how much better they got with it. I didn't really care for the game, but I appreciate them doing something that's different, attempting to do different things and new things. And you very rarely see that nowadays in the AAA arena. Something that Sean Layden talked about recently, about how he feels like AA games are dying because it's just too expensive to build games with ideas that aren't proven yet. And that's something that it just seems like everybody has to have like a monetization plan ahead of time. And without that, you can't get projects approved, which is unfortunate. But a lot of these monetization policies are kind of built around established game design that has proven to work, and not nothing that might be innovative or brand new. Shout out to Lucius Augustus, though, who did explain brutalism, and shout out to him. He said brutalism is a reference to architectural design from the 70s and 80s common with USSR buildings. Okay, so I guess that kind of like definitely goes into the fact that like you'll be going back and forth in time to like 80s era Poland. So I guess that makes a lot of sense. It's just that to your point, Forte, when you make a number of bad games, and sure there's some people that may enjoy them, but for overall, most people kind of feel like the Medium was mid and Blair Witch was bad. And I know people bring up Layers of Fear, but when did Layers of Fear come out? Like, how long ago was that game? Like, I'm not going to go back to like BioWare, for example, right? I hope the Dragon Age: The Veilguard is good. I can't ignore that their last two games weren't good. I can't say that Dragon Age Inquisition and Dragon Age Origins and the Mass Effect trilogy were amazing. Therefore, Dragon Age: The Veilguard is going to be amazing. Nah, that was a long time ago. And the people who worked on that game aren't even with the company anymore. Like, the company is the title, but the people who worked on it, the directors who directed the vision, got it across the finish line. The talent that's there, that's different talent. Doesn't mean that the Veilguard's guaranteed to be bad. And we also aren't saying that this game, what the heck is this game called again? Chronos, the New Dawn. We're not saying it's guaranteed to be bad, but just because Silent Hill 2 is good doesn't mean that we get to just completely ignore, recent history, not ancient history, but recent history, So I think it's kind of like, we'll have to see, but I'm glad that they've shown improvement. We can at least say that.
Right. Yeah, the game this game looks incredible. When I was looking, I was like, man, that looks really good. And then they gave us a little, like, towards the end of the trailer, they gave you like a quick sneak peek shot of what it could look like in engine or in game, which you never know until you actually get to that point. So I thought that was a good point. But you have to show me more than once or twice to get me to like buy in. But as soon as I saw the game, I was like, as soon as they said Bloober Team on the screen, I was like, oh no, I just instantly kind of disconnected from it. But then when I saw the visuals, I was like, this looks really good, but I still just can't trust you.
Right. Well, look, I don't want to harp on it much longer.
But that doesn't change the fact. Yeah, like I said, anything can happen. People will probably love the game and Bloober Team be on top of the hill again.
We hope so. I always hope every game comes out reaches its potential. So yeah, we'll see how it plays out. The next thing that came up was Blind Fire by Double 11, and I know I've heard that name before, that developer Double 11 before, but I just can't remember what they've done. But this is a first-person shooter that relies on darkness and light to kind of like using light and darkness. It's a way of making them different from other shooters. The trailer they showed didn't really have any real gameplay, which whatever, but early access is apparently available right now on Xbox and the Xbox PC app. I took a look at it. It's like $9. I don't have the time at the moment to play it, but I might, if I see some gameplay that interests me, some actual gameplay, I'll give it a shot. $9 is $9. That's like a freaking fast food meal that you shouldn't eat. So, oh my God. so like I'll give it a shot if it looks interesting. But what did you think about that, about Blind Fire?
I was like, a gimmick where you basically in the dark, and I'm not gonna play it. I already know.
What if it's got good gunplay, man?
What
if it's got good gunplay?
That means I would have to try it out.
Well, I'm saying you could just look at some gameplay and see if like, oh, well, like that looks interesting. Maybe I'll give it a shot.
Did it?
I haven't seen gameplay yet. I have to say, like I said, I'm gonna have to check it out, because like what they showed in the trailer was definitely not gameplay. That was it. Even though it was first person perspective, that was not actual gameplay. That was kind of scripted. Like how we talked about like Halo Infinite when they first showed multiplayer. It was detached camera, scripted. It was the same visuals in real time. That
but
Halo
that game
Infinite
actually looks and plays like that though.
But that was a detached camera. We didn't actually see when we saw Halo Infinite.
Yeah, but that
what the
game
actual gameplay was
like that.
It didn't play like
it's
that.
It's a detached camera in-game engine, meaning you're actually playing.
If it's detached camera, you're not seeing actual gameplay from the perspective of someone actually playing the game. Therefore, you can't look.
Their detached camera is
about this.
Yeah, we're going to keep arguing about this, because Halo's detached camera is basically the replay screen where you can go in and you can make whatever thing you want it to look like, but it's all in game.
That Halo Infinite trailer had a guy doing 3 headshot kills, no scopes in a row, grabbing a hammer from before it hit the ground from one guy that he headshotted and then hitting another dude. That was scripted. Cut it out.
I'm not saying it wasn't scripted. I'm saying, but it can happen.
It's not actual gameplay, is what I'm saying.
Oh my God!
So what we saw,
oh my God!
To take it to Blind Fire, what we saw was not actual gameplay. It was a dude.
Well, no, that wasn't gameplay.
Showing off his pistol. The lights are, he got neon lights everywhere. He's all doing all this other stuff, and then he turns around, he gets headshot by somebody in the corner. That wasn't real gameplay. I just want to see real game. I want to see someone playing the game, and then I see it from the actual perspective of how the gun reloads, what the ADS is like. All that stuff, that's gunplay. I want to see the gunplay. I don't want to see your detached camera / scripted nonsense, because that ain't real.
Well, SloMo, I don't disagree with you that it's detached gameplay. See, you're arguing two different things. You're arguing that you are, because you're not arguing for gameplay. You're arguing for them to show the game in the visual, like the way that you're going to play it. but the game, what you're seeing is actually the game playing, people doing those things in game, meaning that if it's scripted or not, it's the fact that you can do it in the game, and they're using a camera that's detached that you can do yourself. How do you think people make all these ridiculous Halo montages when they used to make them? They did them in game.
I love those because they were real gameplay against real players. And what
you could do that.
But it wasn't that.
Oh my God.
You can do, and what it was is two different things.
Can you, SloMo, everything that happened in that Halo trailer, can it happen?
Yes, it can happen.
And that's all I'm saying. Did it
happen in the actual gameplay that they showed you? No.
Oh my God. I'm just saying, look, can it happen? That's it.
It doesn't matter.
Can it happen?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, okay? Look, all right, look. To take it back to Blind Fire, you're not interested. I am on the edge if I see some actual gameplay from an actual person that looks good. Then I will jump in and try it. I'll spend the $10, and I'll try it. And moving on.
If just to do it, I'll do it with you.
Cool. If whatever I see, I'll send it to you. We'll discuss.
And I'm gonna be like, "Are you sure about this?"
You're
gonna be like,
on the
I
side
guess.
of no. But anyway, look. So next was Like a Dragon, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, which just made no sense to me. Nothing Like a Dragon makes any sense to me.
Makes any sense to you.
But that's fine. I know it is wildly popular. It's goofy on purpose. It's supposed to be like that. People love it. So that's awesome. It's supposed to come out early next year. So I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going to jump on it and enjoy it. Anything you want to say about that?
I know he'll be on there.
Oh, absolutely. Shout out to Cog. Anything you want to say about that before we move on to the next one?
No, I was like, as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, Cog is going to be happy, and that's about it. Keep going.
So the other one, and this is what I'm talking about when it comes to why I want to see gameplay. Mouse PI for Hire.
Man, I thought this was Cuphead stuff, and then I was disappointed.
So interesting that you say that, because I feel like this entire game's art style has to lend its inspiration from Cuphead, because it's the same era of like animation from like the 40s or whatever time period that comes from. But I think the quality of the animation in Cuphead for this art direction is far better than what we get from the developer Fumi Games for this Mouse PI for Hire. I also kind of felt like the shooting was a bit floaty and loose. Like it just didn't look very crisp. You know, it didn't look like you were really doing anything, especially at the part where he's like fighting like a boss in like a room. I just kind of felt like it's kind of a skip for me. What did you think about that one?
Once I saw it was a Cuphead, that was probably the first one I looked, and I don't want to blame the fact that it was because I was hoping for something Cuphead. But as soon as I saw what it was, I just got instant like, this is cool for like my daughter. Not even my daughter, because she's too old for that now. She'll look at that like, no, I'm good, Dad. Yeah, no. I kind of tuned out once I saw it was a Cuphead and just running around. Now the premise it looks pretty cool. I'll never go against like the hand-drawn art style of it, which is really cool. So that's a lot of people that's going to play it just due to the nostalgia of playing older, playing older visual cartoon style stuff like that. But for me, I was kind of checked out as soon as I saw what it was and what it wasn't.
Got you. Next was Subnautical 2, and it's going into early access in 2025. I think that's a great get by Xbox to put it in early access. I never played the first game, but I just heard so many people talk about how like well done the first Subnautical was. So getting the early access for this is a good idea. Did you play the first one?
I did.
And you liked it?
I liked it. And when I saw this one, I was like, oh, this looks really good. And you're on a alien planet on it. And like the visuals of it look really good. You know,
yeah,
I've always.
Well, I mean, it's a trailer. It's cinematic, so.
Yeah. But I trust this game to at least deliver,
to nail the visuals, the way they showed it.
The way they showed. I mean, I know it's not going to be exactly what they showed, but it's going to. I know it's going to be better than Subnautical and the DLC one that they did. I forget what they called it, but I know it's going to be better than that. And the fact that this one they told a pretty decent story in 15 seconds that I was like, I'm in. So I'm definitely going to play that when it comes out.
Cool. The next trailer was hilarious. Just due to the narration for Animal Well, where the guy was talking about shadows and the shadows and the shadows and the shadows. I was like, oh, that's funny. I don't care about this game though, but good that it's apparently got shadow dropped on Xbox right now. So I think that's a game that was out on PC previously already. So it's good that it's it's on a new platform, and if you're interested in it, then that's definitely there. This other one though, I really actually kind of like. It was Eden Zero by Konami of all people. I liked it because when I saw they showed the snippets of gameplay, it looked like Zenless Zone Zero, which I enjoyed the combat in that. I just kind of I dropped Zenless Zone Zero pretty quickly because although I like the combat, it's not enough of it. It's too much running around and talking to people, and none of that stuff is I find very interesting. And then you got the whole gotcha system that MiHoYo does. So I was kind of like not too interested to continue Zenless Zone Zero any further. But if Eden Zero kind of does that same combat, it's got a little bit of a different art style, but it's still kind of Eastern focused or Eastern inspired art style. It's definitely on my radar. What did you think about Eden Zero?
From the little, like I said, when I looked at it, I was like, this looks actually really interesting. It looks cool. I like the art style of it. The overall aesthetic of the game was kind of like, I really don't know how I feel about that part of it. But for the most part, I actually, when I was in the store, I was actually looking at the video, and a customer had actually asked me, "Is like, have I watched the partner pre?" I said I was actually watching it now, and that game was on there, and they actually thought the game actually looked pretty good too. Is it a game that you're gonna jump to right away? No, but I think you know what? I think it is a palate cleanser. Really, really good. Something to kind of break up the monotony of some of the bigger games you play. But for the most part, I think that game actually is going to be something that some people are going to actually enjoy. And I think a lot of these games are going to be that. It just, for me, it was like, when will I have time to play it? And is it something that's going to break in? Like, did they have a release date for that game?
I feel like it was soon. I feel like let me give me a moment, because I feel like that was like this year.
I think they October 17th to the 17th through the 20th is I believe the play test
for Eden Zero.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
There was a game that had a play test. I might be getting mixed up with Project Ethos.
Oh, that's Project Ethos. That's what I got confused with. Project
2K's Battle Royale game.
Their Battle Royale game.
It plays like a mobile game.
Then we're not messing with that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that's a nah. This, I think, okay, from what I don't know, because I'm seeing stuff. I'm looking it up, but I'm seeing stuff of Eden Zero that talks about the anime, and so I'm trying to kind of parse through what's anime and what's not. So I'll let you know in a moment. Once maybe I'll go to Wario64's account. He always does like a good summary of these showcases, and so if I can find his summary of this one, then I can. He likely would have had the you know what? Let me just Keep going, man.
What did you? So how are you about the? So you're in an anime. See, this is the thing. You're in an anime type of mood right now because you're playing an Atlas game right now.
It's coming in 2025.
Okay, it's coming in 2025. Now it is. Now it does, like, the cool thing is it does have an adaptation for Netflix and stuff. So I think a really good tie-in with the game and everything. So it's actually really good that Xbox was able to get something like this on their platform, because depending on like people that like the anime and stuff like that, it's going to probably draw more people.
Hold on a second. But we getting some pushback, some criticism here.
Where's it coming from?
And it's coming from multiple sources. So now I'm gonna address it. So apparently, because we have taste in games and interest in games, we hate everything. And it's weird that apparently I only like spandex and cloud stripes and nipples, but that's it. I don't like anything else.
What?
I guarantee, I literally just streamed a indie game on this channel for 4 hours. People will forget that and then say, because I didn't like a handful of games in this showcase, you hate all games. You know what y'all hate? Y'all hate actually being accurate for once. Y'all hate not exaggerating everything and being in y'all feelings all the time. That's what y'all hate. Y'all, if yes, hit dogs will holler, Rodimus. That's why you're hollering right now. This is how y'all act anytime someone doesn't like a game that y'all like. Oh my God, you don't like this. You hate everything. I don't hate everything. We literally had a segment earlier where we'll be playing where I talk glowingly about the games that I've been playing. Clearly, I don't hate everything. Clearly, y'all in y'all feelings. So just chill out. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk. There are games in the showcase that we actually like. We'll get there. Just calm down. Your emotions. Calm your emotions, please.
Your emotions.
Your emotions are overwhelming you. Y'all acting like 14-year-old teenagers right now. You know, you just can't be able to just not exaggerate everything. It's silly. You know what I'm saying? Play Slay the Princess though. That's an indie game that's very good. It's excellent, actually. You know, because us gamers, we like indies, we like AAA games, we like AA games, we like popular stuff, we like not so popular stuff. We like everything.
Well, check this out.
Some of y'all only play one game at the end and call yourselves gamers.
But check this out. A game that Rodimus actually mentioned in the chat like 3 weeks ago, Kill Night on Steam. I actually went out and bought it. You know, so we take recommendations on things that we think are good, but just because some things we like and some things we don't, and the fact that a lot of the stuff in the showcase we like. And listen, it's nothing wrong with liking a game. I think this is what it is. I think because, you know, Rodimus is used to us being so negative.
But it's not just Rodimus. It's
a lot of people.
It ain't everybody in the chat, because the majority of our chat are very reasonable people.
Yeah, you're welcome, Rodimus. You mentioned that game to me, so I went out and I got it. It was on sale for $11.99. I was like, I'll save my $4, and I haven't got a chance to play it yet, but I did buy it, and that was off your recommendation. So I appreciate that. So just know that we're gonna like a lot of games that each other like, and we're gonna hate games that other people like. It ain't got nothing to do with anything else.
Yeah, no, it's just people in their emotions. You know how they are. They can't. They live in exaggeration. That's all. Now, to get to a game, I actually probably the one game that I was excited to see the most. So now the narrative completely changed.
Yeah, it will never ever like Horizon Forbidden or Zero Dawn. And we will not buy Legacy of Kain Remaster. We will not do that.
No, we're good. Eternal Strands, developed by Yellow Brick Games. Yellow Brick Games is a studio made of ex-BioWare developers A lot of them used to work on the Mass Effect trilogy, and it's an action RPG with like a lot of environmental elements that you use in combat, and that's incorporated in the game design, as well as combining abilities to kind of allow you to do like extra traversal or extra damage on enemies. It's supposed to come out early 2025. It will launch in Game Pass day one, which I think is pretty cool. And I gotta admit, I didn't think it would come out this quickly, because the studio is brand new. It's their very first game. They haven't been around for very long, but I don't know if that means that the game isn't going to be very long itself, or maybe the scope of the game isn't as big as I originally thought it was. But my interest is definitely there on that one. What do you think about Internal Strains?
When I first saw that game, I was like, Sloan was gonna like this game. He's gonna actually be interested in it. And I said the first thing that came to my mind was, but will he actually play it? Will it actually be a game that he'll actually play?
What?
What you mean? What?
Why would you say that?
No. Okay, the fact that you had this reaction, why such a reaction to something that to that statement?
What games did I say I'm going to play and then I don't play them?
There's a lot of games that you no, I didn't say. I'm talking about how many games, but you buy a lot of games and do the same thing.
What, buy games and then don't play them?
A lot of games, like I'm trying to think of a game recently that you purchased.
I bought Slay the Spire. I'm sorry, well, that's a different game. Slay the Prince. I bought that in last spring.
Slay the Spire, you'll still be playing.
Is that a roguelite? I can't remember what that is.
It is a rogue. It's a roguelite.
Yeah, I might need to go.
It used to be an iPhone. Used to be an iPhone game. Well, it still is an iPhone game.
Anyway, I bought Slay the Princess in spring, and I didn't play it until now. Every game I buy, I intend on playing, and I do play. Just that, depending on when I get to it is when I get to it, but I get to it. So look, no, but Internal Strands, I will play that day one, and is that a little bit more of, well, I'm a fan of the people that's what it is. You're a fan of the developer. You're a fan of Yellow Brick? Well, yeah, I mean, I can't really be a fan of someone who has never, like, as a studio, because like every studio has their own culture. So just because you've made great things in the past doesn't guarantee that when a brand new studio is going to be a success, because we've seen that not turn out that way, from former devs of like Rockstar or Blizzard come together, they make their own studio and the game doesn't quite hit. It doesn't quite have the execution that they had with the previous studio. Like, that's always a guarantee. That's not guaranteed. That's a possibility.
I want to just start a fight with you on it.
Yeah, clearly that's all you trying to do.
No, that's all I did. But no, I'm gonna answer the question for you directly though. I just wanted to start a fight with you. I think this game is really interesting due to the fact that I love the setting and the overall visuals of it, because it reminds me of Immortal Phoenix Rising. Or
it does kind of have that same art style, yeah.
And I love that game from Ubisoft. It was like the first time that Ubisoft didn't puke all over the screen in the game, and I was like, more like this, please. So it really, really reminded me of games like that. And some of the other things in the game that it kind of reminded me of is the Darksiders 2. With Death, when you were in like the open world and stuff like that. Those two games really, really spoke to me. So when I saw this, I was like, I shouldn't be as interested in this game as I am, but I really am, due to the aesthetic of the environment. So I will definitely give this. Don't know if I'm going to finish it, but that all depends on how the game plays. And good thing it doesn't come out until the second quarter of next year. But it's a game that's on my radar just due to the company it keeps in the type of visuals it has in the game.
Yeah, and I it's different than it's a different kind of game than what BioWare made. So they're definitely not trying to tread the same ground. Like another studio of former BioWare developers, Archetype Entertainment, they're making Exodus. which is, we've seen that, I think, at the VGAs. And that's the one that's got like Matthew McConaughey narrating it, and it's got like a bunch of like big time actors and voice actors in it. That looks like a Mass Effect. Like when they showed the snippets of gameplay, it looked like a modern day Mass Effect. But they're taking like time jumping and they're adding, a lot into it. It's got the lead writer from Mass Effect there. That's the studio that's kind of continuing on the legacy of what Western RPGs that BioWare used to make, including BioWare themselves. But they're different developers there now. But this seems to be like devs that they wanted to do something different. And they want to do something different. They want a different kind of approach, a different vibe, and kind of bring that to the gaming industry, and something that's we've seen a little bit before, but also a little unique. So I'm looking forward to it. Sure. What was next? Where's my list? Mistfall Hunter by Bell Ring Games. I thought that looked pretty interesting as Souls-likes go. I don't know if I'm kind of like tapped out on Souls-likes because I feel like there's so many.
I am very much just looking at them. I'm like, every game, it seems like everybody is using that formula because that's the type of game that is selling right now. You look at Black Myth selling. People are clamoring for a Bloodborne game that never dies when it comes to the 60 frames per second patch on that. And then you talk about how Elden Ring just blew up and all of these other games. And you got Sekiro won Game of the Year, or Sekiro won Game of the Year. So there's a lot of reasons for this rise of Souls-like games and stuff. But as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, it's just another game that's capitalizing on that. Not saying it's not going to be good or bad.
Right,
it's
right. There's always going to be a perspective, like a spectrum. It's going to be the level of quality will be high or low depending. But when your last two games, and when I say your last two, I'm talking about From Software, win Game of the Year with Sekiro and then Elden Ring. It's a copycat industry. So what was once considered a risk to do in AAA with their kind of games because of the difficulty, and how games journals are, they want journalist mode. They don't want, a game with no difficulty settings and it's hard. They typically don't. And I would say they still don't, because I see a lot of games that they review well, but I think they could have had a higher Metacritic score if they weren't being dinged for things that really just fall under a skill issue. Right. But when you have games that a certain style of game that consistently has won Game of the Year from the author or the grandfather of that style, you're going to get now other people coming up with those similar ideas, and you're going to get publishers that are going to be like, well, that worked for Elden Ring, so let's give it a shot. And what once would have been a no ends up becoming a yes because of success from someone else. But the talent of the people who are making those games, they're not From Software. So you're going to get your Liza P, and you're going to get your first Berserker Kazan, and then you're also going to get your what's the name of that one that I can't remember. That's it. The fact that I can't remember the names of all the bad ones says a lot. Mortal Shell. I hate that one. Mortal Shell sucks. And I think I tried AI Limit, which I've been waiting on for a while, and I didn't like AI Limit's demo. I don't think it's that good. And there's another one that's kind of similar to AI Limit because it's got an anime art style, and it came out. We had vampires in it. Came out a few years ago. Also didn't like that one either. I just felt the character movement was way too slow for a combat style that already is not like the fastest to begin with. But you're gonna have your variants. You're gonna have your good ones. You're gonna have your bad ones. And I'm not saying that Mistfall Hunter is a bad one, but from what I saw, it looked okay. And whether I'm gonna play it though is I'm not promising that. We got like 4 more. So
nobody wants to ride a bike up a street.
How you know I'm about to get it that one?
Because you're going in order.
Yes,
and that was the next game.
Wheel World from Annapurna. They're publishing it because Annapurna ain't got devs no more.
They ain't got no devs no more.
Coming early 2025. I mean, look, I thought the music was okay. I don't know if that music is going to be in the game, but otherwise, I did not care about riding a bicycle up and down a hill.
I don't care. I literally just skipped that part. I said, as soon as I saw it, I was like, is that all this is riding your bike up and down a hill? I'm good.
Yeah. So Phasmophobia, which was really popular on PC, one of those streaming games that a lot of people play. And
y'all,
you know what?
I know you and Luca did it.
Yeah, me, Luca, and All Day. Shout out to All Day. Been a long time since I talked to him, but All Day Digital, the 3 of us played it. We had a ball. Like it is a technical mess and it looks hideous, right? But it's fun. Like the premise and how it works. It's just like it's a game that I think if you played it solo with randoms and no one's talking, it's terrible. You're not having a good time. You play it with friends and and just the hijinks that happens. Like I gotta find that stream. I think I have it still on the SloMoBackSlap channel. That was so funny. Just like the freaking like spirit or whatever the heck it was grabbed Luca. I just took off. I was just like, I can't help you. I can't save you. All day screaming left and right. It was a good time. But that's coming to Xbox. I didn't realize it wasn't on all platforms for this long. I thought it would have came to other platforms sooner than this. But I think this is also kind of one of those games because it's like there's other ones that kind of do something similar that what Phasmophobia does, but there's different settings. Some of them are in space and other things like that. But I wonder if these kind of games are games that are more popular on PC than they are on consoles. I'm not certain. I'm not saying they aren't, but I guess we'll see what happens when it releases on Xbox and likely PlayStation as well. That game, I think it could run on a Nintendo Switch, honestly. But I guess we'll see how popular they go because we've seen it work for, say, Among Us. When Among Us went to Xbox and Switch and PlayStation, it was just as popular as it was on PC and mobile. But I don't know if that really translates to all games. What are your thoughts on that one?
I always did. I envied the fact that y'all played that game. I kind of wanted to play that game with you, but if anything, that's like one of the type of game I like that when it comes to that psychological horror. That's where I kind of check out. I'm good with just regular horror, but when you're talking about horror like that, I was like watching y'all stream play it, and I was like, I feel jealous. And then Luca almost hit her head on the ceiling one day, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm good on this game. But
I just thought about when me and All Day was hiding in the bathroom.
Yeah,
because the thing was like banging on the door.
Oh, man, and y'all were scared to come out the bathroom.
It was funny because it was like there's this house that's haunted, and then we found like some letters, and we found the name of the ghost, and I think it's a cool aspect to it. Like the ghost was, I guess, chill until we started antagonizing it. So it was like his name was like Richard or something. So me and Luca was like, Richard. Like we were just walking around saying Richard, and then that's when we went into the bathroom, and then I looked at Luca's character, and she was just like crumpled up like a piece of paper under the sink. I was like, damn, what just happened? And Luca was like, oh, it got me. I was gone. I booked it. And The game's fun. It's a fun game, but I feel like I said, you gotta play it with friends. You can't play that by yourself. You can't play that with a bunch of randoms you don't know and you're not kind of like unsure with. It just doesn't work. But there are those kind of party games and how they work, and they're normally pretty good. Legend of Babu, I guess that looked okay. You know, it's got, I forgot the kind of game that it reminded me of, but it looked all right.
You didn't care.
Mostly, yeah. But
exactly. You
anyway,
didn't care.
Let's get to the last one. Let's get to Dollar Tree Black Myth Wukong, aka also called Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Similar in combat style, similar in a Chinese developer, similar like time frames and everything and stuff. It's just I do think combat wise it did kind of remind me more of something like Team Ninja would make, but it's being developed by 505 Games and being published by 505 Games, developed by Lenezi. I probably got that wrong, but I think their previous game, they made a VR game before, but that's it. What did you think about that one? I mean, it looked all right. It looked good.
It did look all right. Visually, it looked great and fast paced, and like you said, it reminded me of all those different things. But once again,
you know what it reminded me of? You ever as a kid was like, like moms, I want McDonald's. But I was broke.
Did you take it to Burger King?
No, she went home and made you a burger.
Oh, she went home and made you a burger, bro. She didn't even stop at Sonic. She didn't even go to Sonic for you, bro.
It's but I wanted McDonald's. She said, nah, well, look, this is just as good as McDonald's. Take it. And that's Wuchang, right? For the Xbox guys, y'all wanted Black Myth Wukong. You ain't got Black Myth Wukong yet, but look, here's some Wuchang. It's just it's like Wukong, but it's Wuchang. It's kind of like it, but it's not. Anyway, take it, enjoy. So look, it looks okay.
I always look at
we
games
got McDonald's
like this
at home. I used to hate that, man. Got McDonald's at home. We ain't got no McDonald's at home. I used to be so mad about that. But that's what they kind of like. I think I'm half joking because clearly, like, it's not like Xbox went and commissioned the whole game be made by another Chinese developer because last minute Black Myth Wukong wasn't launching on Xbox. But it's just the circumstances as they are. That's the way it looks. You can't get Wukong, but we got Wuchang. Same thing. It's just funny. But go ahead, man.
No, I was gonna say, don't you, when you look at it, when they feel like they gotta put like a lot of pyrotechnics on the screen, it just makes you feel like it's compensating for something else?
You think so? I thought the gameplay looked all right. I thought
gameplay looked fine. It's just the fact that I know that there's a Black Myth game out there, and this game is definitely trying to be that.
It ain't on the level of Black Myth. It don't look like it's on the level of Black Myth.
No, it doesn't even look like it. But I mean, it's like you said, discount Black Myth on Xbox, and you're gonna like it. And people are going to buy it because guess what? And it's the funny thing. All those people out there that was talking about and all this hate, like Black Myth not on Xbox. Well, here's a game that looks pretty much just like it. Are you going to support it? That's the question. Are you going to support it?
Yeah. I don't know if what's the name of this again? Wuchang? I don't know.
Wuchang Fallen Feathers.
If I'm about to say Wuchang.
What's up with the Fallen Feathers part?
Into the Wuchang.
Are we
36 chambers
at the end of this?
36 chambers of let me stop. Look, I don't know if this is going to be in Game Pass or not.
Look at Rodham said Black Myth Wukong was a 74 meta.
No, it wasn't.
It definitely wasn't.
It
also sold 10 million copies too.
Yeah, it's definitely going to end up being the highest selling game to come out this year. Don't hate it, Rodham. That's not very becoming.
It's not nice.
Oh man. Anyway, so that was the last game that was shown, and it was look. I would say overall, it was a good show. The Xbox Partner Preview was a good show. I saw a good number of games. I thought it had a good diversity of games. There were shooters in there. There were Souls-like games. There were action RPGs. There was action adventure games. They had a good diversity of genres. The games looked good, and yeah, I mean, like for a third-party showcase, I don't know really what more you could ask for games that are definitely going to end up being on other platforms as well. You just got the marketing for it. It was a good show. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it was a really good show. Like you said, the balance was there. It was something definitely for everybody. There was no talking from anybody other than just trailer after trailer. It was like you were at a movie theater, just taking in the trailers as they were coming. And that's something that,
I don't want to see no grifting host up there talking to a developer or whatever. And, like years ago, when they used to do ID at Xbox, and it used to be done by Twitch. Produced by Twitch, it was the worst thing in the world. It would be like 6 hours, literally. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. It was like 6 hours, and all the hosts, like Twitch, basically had designed it to just promote their own content creators and their own talent. And so they had these hosts in there. Some of them who I knew, and they're nice people, but they weren't prepared whatsoever for the actual show. They didn't know the name of the games, the name of the developers. They were mispronouncing everything. They didn't do any research or any like homework on a hosting job. And they're content creators, they're streamers, popular streamers, but they didn't never host anything before, and it showed. It dragged. It was terrible. You would go like 15-20 minutes before you would see actual gameplay of games. They just kept doing like these sizzle reels. You waiting to finally see a game. You see a game for 5 seconds. Meanwhile, they're doing like a 10-minute interview with a developer about like cooking, a cooking game. Like, get this crap out of here. So it's like, it's better than how they used to do this stuff. But yeah, I thought it was decent. I thought it was good.
Yeah, I thought it was good too.
Cool. Well, we can move on. Let's get into this last topic before we get into our AMA. Xbox has a new head of Xbox Game Studios. Craig Duncan, who was previously the studio head for Rare, is now the new head of Xbox Game Studios. He replaces Alan Hartman, who had only been in the role for a year, but Hartman plans on retiring from Microsoft next month. And then that's where Duncan will take over. He's been the head of Rare for the past 14 years. And so his role, so that people understand, his role is just overseeing Xbox Game Studios. Xbox Game Studios is not Activision Blizzard King. It's not ZeniMax Media. He's not going to be managing those other studios. He'll be managing Halo Studios, Obsidian, Ninja Theory, Compulsion, Undead Labs, like all of those guys. Playground, all of them. And then he will be reporting to Matt Booty, who no longer is directly doing that. Matt Booty had a statement to say about this, saying in his new role, Craig will continue to focus on helping our studios deliver high quality, differentiated game experiences that can grow into successful franchises and reach more players by investing in new IP. I absolutely think Matt Booty did not say that. Someone wrote that for him, and he read it.
Anyway. That was ChatGPT.
Right. Forte is considering the history that Craig has had at Rare. Is he the right man for this job? What do you think?
Well, you can't argue with the results for Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves has ever since, was it 2017? So that game has been going for almost 7 years at this point. So half of the time that he's been there, on top of the development, so it's pretty much mostly the only game he's worked on. They keep on schedule with that game. And where I'm going with this is the one issue that Xbox has always had is accountability, scheduling deadlines, and making sure that the quality control is in point where they're actually checking up on this stuff. Now, I do think he will help with that regard of it. I do think a lot of the responsibility of making sure that deadlines are kept, to making sure that, you know, we don't get another Craig popping out of a shell in the middle of an Xbox showcase. I think stuff like that is gonna be minimized. I'm not going to say it's going to disappear, but I think it's going to be minimized for the most part, because now I really didn't know like what Alan was really doing. I mean, because you would think that there's like a lot of checks and balances. He was
only in the role for a year, so
that's
I
true.
don't think he really had the opportunity to really leave his mark on anything.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. That's true. You're right about that. So I do think just on that side of it, it's going to be better, but Matt Booty's still at the top of all this. And I don't know what is his director going to be to, you know, Duncan about, you know, what he wants to see over the course of like the next, let's say over the next quarter, 2 quarters from just an ability to like, you know, for games and stuff, because we do know that they're going to be January. There's going to be a showcase for the most part. So with him being in this position, he's going to be tasked with having people or going to these studios and getting some type of reel together or some type of trailer together for a lot of these games, you know? So, you know, he's going to go to Obsidian and he's probably going to ask for stuff that's not avowed, because, you know, even though it was a teaser trailer that made fun of teaser trailers, you know, there is an Outer Worlds 2 out there somewhere, you know. So if that's something that they can showcase, that's something that they probably will showcase there too. I think when it comes to like what they show, how they show it, and just making sure that stuff is ready when it needs to be ready and comes out when it needs to come out, is going to be the thing that I think he's going to help the most with. But the biggest thing is I just want to know what the relationship between him and Matt Booty is going to be, because Matt Booty still had, you know, even with all this stuff done, just like SloMo, if you were my assistant and I told you to do these things, but even if you did them, I'm still going to check up on you to make sure they're done.
Right.
I'm not gonna leave. It's like trust but verify. We all know what that means.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think there was a lot of verifying going on.
There was not a lot of verifying.
I agree. Previously with Matt Booty in charge of that, and I don't know if Alan Hartman was doing things better or not. Like I said, he wasn't in there for very long, and he's not there anymore starting next month, so it doesn't really matter what Hartman had done. But we know with Matt Booty, based off of, you know, the testimony of people who used to work there, and based off of the results and all the leaks that came out, that there was a lot of trust but no verifying, and that had a lot of issues, and it's systemic, I believe, because it's not just Matt Booty. So I don't want to just, you know, throw darts at him. Clearly, like, a lot of that was going on, and miscommunications going on with the transition of ZeniMax Media into Xbox, and that's how we ended up with Redfall at 30 FPS when you know, Xbox leadership thought it would have 60 FPS, but that wasn't really communicated to ZeniMax Media. You know, that's not Matt Booty's fault, because Matt Booty at that time was not maintaining or managing ZeniMax Media. He is now, so ultimately, if that doesn't get to him, he has to, you know, fall on his sword for that. But at the time, he didn't know that.
Right.
But other issues like Craig Face with Halo Infinite, that's a Matt Booty problem. Just, you know, Undead Labs really having a difficult time in development and transitioning State of Decay from a AA game to a AAA game, and State of Decay 3, that's Matt Booty. You know, missing milestones and stuff like that. Like there are studios where you basically, you don't really need to have a heavy hand with them. They are senior enough, they are veteran enough, they got a strong enough culture, they know what they're doing. They don't really need you outside of anything but opening the checkbook when it needs to be open and giving them what they need. I think that's Double Fine. I think that's Obsidian. I think that's Playground. I think they're good. They handle business, and they've got a proven enough track record where you can expect them to be able to do a good job. The ones that needed a steadier hand were like the smaller studios they acquired that were trying to grow into something else. And when you're growing, like if you ever see, and I recommend everybody check this out, the documentary series that Double Fine did about what's the name of the game they just released a little while ago that was a Game of the Year nominee? It's a sequel.
What studio?
Double Fine.
Oh my God.
I freaking beat this game and I can't remember the name of it.
Oh my God.
Psychonauts 2. Thank you, Slayer.
Yeah.
So they had a documentary series that started in the middle of development for Psychonauts 2 and ended with it like a year after it ended. And if you watch it, it's great. It's great because it really kind of shows you the difficulties of game development and the difficulties of integrating talented people who don't know your culture. And so there was so much like friction going on, and there were like in growing, there were people who really, I wouldn't say acted out of character, but they didn't accept new responsibilities with more staff well, and they didn't know how to integrate the talents and ideas of other people. That wasn't something they were used to at the studio before that time, and they weren't very receptive to those things. So it was a lot of hurt feelings, even though the game was of high quality. You know, there was a lot of lessons learned there, and I think a veteran developer like Double Fine, led by a strong studio head, with Tim Schafer, were able to kind of handle that, course correct, look at what they did, learn from it as they said they're doing, and then for their next game, wherever it is, they'll be a bit more focused, and there'll be a lot less pain involved in delivering a quality game. Clearly that wasn't what happened with Undead Labs, because Undead Labs just didn't have that strong leadership there. And then, as the developer said, there was no like Xbox leadership coming in and getting the kids in line. There was no parent coming into the room and putting people in their corner and setting ground rules or just making a decision. And a lot of times when I see when we hear about development hell and dysfunction in studios, a lot of times it really comes from poor leadership. And it comes from poor leadership and directors who do not have the backbone to just be like, I hear your idea, that's great, this is the direction we're going. Like we saw this from like Anthem, we saw this from a lot of different games. 343, formerly 343, dealt with a lot of that too. And so I say all that to say is that I hope Craig Duncan has got a firmer hand on these things than Matt Booty did. But I have to say this because it needs to be said. This guy was the studio head for Rare for 14 years. I hope whoever interviews Craig Duncan one day asks him, what the hell happened with Everwild? Because if you're going to be running all these studios now, I need to understand where your mind space was at when y'all decided to show us a game that
you didn't know what it was.
You didn't know what it was.
Right.
And you didn't just do one, but multiple trailers of a game that you didn't know what it was. And by the trailer, we don't know what it is. And I'm just like, so, and the lead director on that game has left Rare. We don't know the status of that game, if it will ever be canceled or what. And I'm just like, so when your record is good, Sea of Thieves, you started out, you didn't really get the budget that you needed, but you know, it was technically a very sound game. The water was amazing. Over time, you took player feedback, you gave the players what they wanted, you built it up. It's stable, it's good. Sea of Thieves is exactly what you intended it to be. That's a success. Now, let's look at your failures. Not saying that like Everwild was guaranteed to be a failure, but how you showed it, how you started it out, that wasn't good. And it's not a guarantee that because of that, you can't do this job. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is that if your answer is, we made mistakes with Everwild, here are those mistakes. This is what we did that wasn't right. Here is how we are making sure that's never going to happen again. And it all makes sense, then hey, I'm fine with it. Let's go. But it's just, I feel like that should be addressed. That's something that should be said, you know?
Yeah. Especially when you said the we didn't even know what the game was. That definitely needs to be addressed.
Right. And I mean, and maybe on a PR perspective, don't even tell us that. Like say, look, internally, you could be like, man, what are we trying to do? Is this going to be like a Pokemon game or something? It's going to be like I don't know what we're doing here. But to the public, you could be all like, oh yeah, it's mysterious on purpose. What this game really is, we'll let you know in the future. We can't wait to show you guys what it is. Don't tell us, yeah, man, you know, we just put this out there. We we don't know what it is right now, but we'll get there. That doesn't inspire confidence in me. Because why are you showing me this game if you don't know what it is? And I think even at that time period, they had just acquired the bulk of the studios that they have now. And they went from not really having anything to show because they had nothing in the pipeline to approving of a bunch of projects to try to bring some quantity to the first party. And so it may have been a order that every studio show something. Every studio got to show what they're working on so that we get the gaming community knowing that we got games in the pipeline. You know, and that is important to a degree. Like when you showing concepts of games that like technically really probably not even really approved yet, but you're making trailers for it, like that's not that's not what we want, you know. Like if you a few years away from being able to actually show games in earnest, then that's fine. That's it's not great, but that's better than showing us stuff that's far too early. What's the name of the game that IO Interactive is working on a game with them? I know that was a leak, but we still ain't seen that. That's fine. Still ain't seen. If it ain't ready, don't show it. But then where's Contraband? You showed us like a 1-minute trailer that was just all, you know, CG, no gameplay, no idea what that is, where that is, where Avalanche Games is with it, no idea. State of Decay 3, we saw a little bit more. It took you 3 years to get there. It's just, if it's not ready, it's probably best that you just kind of hold off on it. But all that said, I just hope Duncan has seen the mistakes of his predecessors and does better.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say the only other thing is like he's seen it from the developer side of it, being a studio head. So, you know, I guarantee you there were situations where Microsoft probably left them alone to be able to do the things that they did with Sea of Thieves because they pretty much had everything in control. But he has to kind of look at that and say, okay, was that like just because we had it under control, or was that like kind of the norm for everybody at Xbox? You know, we're just gonna be hands off and do all this stuff, and maybe there were opportunities where they probably could have stepped in, but they just, just handled their business and, kept pushing where they could have kept pushing and stuff. So maybe he will see from the other side that he has to be a little bit more hands-on with the studios and stuff, because I think that's the biggest thing that was like kind of the missing ingredient when it came to why Xbox was kind of trending the way it was. Because if your boss isn't really like, no one likes their boss to breathe down their throat or breathe down their neck. Nobody likes that in any job. It's like the most irritating, nerve-wracking thing you can have in your life. But guess what it does, though? When a person is like that,
produces results.
Exactly.
Or get someone in there that will produce results. That
will do it for you. So that's the thing that I hope he takes for it. Yep, that's what I hope he takes to it.
Yeah, I think... And we I think we've kind of discussed some of the internal like back and forth that we've been seeing kind of play out in the media, as well as things we've heard in regards to like the warringness of, it seems, two sides and what their vision is of the future of Xbox or Microsoft gaming. Wherever it ends up going, I just kind of hope that, like, in the midst of all that and wherever direction they go, if you're going to go full third party at some point in the future, okay, but just make sure that, like, you clean this stuff up. Because regardless of whether you are all in on your platform or if you are all in on being a third party publisher, you have to deliver quality games, and you need to be able to hit your milestones, hit your deadlines. You need to be able to deliver high quality content on a consistent basis. We're not where, 1 year you got 5 games and then next year you got 1. Like, you need to have a consistent clip of content where people feel like they are getting their money's worth out of the services and the platform that you provide. And because they're spending their money, of course. And like, that's the foundation of the business. Like, it's making games. Like, this is a video game industry, and clearly we know that Microsoft is paying more attention to this, to the Xbox platform and the Xbox brand, simply because, hey, it makes a lot of money now. And so now they're paying attention. Now they want to, find out what's what. They want to make money. But the core of it is that you make good games. This is an entertainment business. This isn't productivity, which is, or cloud, where you make the most of your bones. This is entertainment. And if people aren't entertained, if they don't find that you are consistently delivering, or that you're providing the kind of content that really hits on levels that are far beyond just it being a good game. I'm talking about games that kind of transcend that, where everyone has to play it. Doesn't matter if they're kind of like a fanboy of a different platform or they don't really care for Xbox, but I gotta play that though. That's that game that everyone wants. Like, that's the kind of stuff that you have to at least at some point deliver on that. And if you're not doing that, it doesn't matter that if you're all in on Xbox, the platform, or you're all in the Xbox ecosystem, however you view that, or you think every screen's an Xbox, or if you think, you're all in on cloud gaming, or, you're going to be good full third party putting your games everywhere, which, it definitely seems like that's the direction that they're going. The point is, you make games. If your games aren't good, you could be Embracer if you want. But we see where Embracer is. So, yeah. Let's get into this AMA though, before we get up out of here. So this, guys, we didn't really have a lot of topics tonight. So at this point, we can end the show. But before we end the show, 200th episode, kind of figure, let's have a little chat, a little sit down with the audience and everything, and whatever questions you guys have for us, go ahead and ask them, and we will answer. I don't know how honest the answer would be, but we will answer. It'll be honest. It'll be honest.
I mean, let's tell that truth. Let's go.
Ramon says, congratulations on 200 episodes, and Forte is still alive. Right. I haven't killed him yet. You know, it's emphasis on the yet though. It's we don't know how that might turn out. But no, seriously, I'm joking. I wouldn't do that. You know, that's the homie. But no, 200 episodes. We're gonna we definitely doing 100 more. You know, we're gonna see you guys at episode 300. I'm gonna have a few more gray hairs for certain. We're gonna be talking about some of the same stuff we're talking about now.
Man,
probably.
When we get to 300, I think I will be 300. Will put my daughter in. She'll be in my youngest daughter will be in high school. By the time we hit 400, she'll be in college.
Oh my gosh! So Lionel, first question here. Only question we have is why aren't you doing as your constituents? Constituents. You know, I didn't know I was an elected official. I didn't know I was an elected official, but constituents request and playing Alien Isolation.
I don't disagree with that. I agree 100%.
Excuse me?
I don't disagree with that statement. You should play Alien Isolation, especially since they announced the second one.
All right.
That's a great game.
Okay. I might play that this week. I might play that this weekend, Lionel. Okay. If I don't see you in the chat, Lionel, you and I gonna have beef. Okay. But I will. If I stream anything this weekend, it will probably be Alien Isolation. Okay. I will get that done. Question from Ramon. Is there even a sliver of hope that the 50 series GPUs won't be more expensive?
No. That's a razor thin thing you just said right there.
I'm sorry for laughing. Because there's just no way in the world that's going to happen. That's not happening.
The question you should be asking, is it going to be plus or minus $300? More,
more, definitely more. Like so look, this is what I'm thinking. 2,000 MSRP for the 5090, $2,000. And
what's that, $400 more than the 4090? Because that was $1,599, right? Yeah.
Yes. I think I before I was saying, because we've seen where the 80 series of a generation adopts the 90 series price point, but I think that I think they're going to try to pull another fast one on people the way they did last time, where they tried to pass off a 4080 but a 4070 as a 4080. I think they're going to do that again, but I think they're going to try to be smarter about it. But I also kind of think that they, in light of what happened, where even the 4080 was too expensive, it was $1,200 and it did not sell great. And so, in typical NVIDIA fashion, they couldn't just admit their fault and officially drop the MSRP down $200. Instead, they went and created a whole different SKU, and which was. Every testing showed that it was like either on par with the 4080 or like 2% faster, which is nothing. And then they made that $1,000, $200 cheaper than the price of the 4080. They're too headstrong and arrogant to admit when they're wrong, but I think that they're not dummies. So I think what they will do is they won't price it the 5080 as the 4090 price. I think they're probably going to go like $1,400, which is still too much. But I think that's what they're going to price it at. And then they're going to say, oh, it's slightly faster than the 4090. And it's got whatever exclusive features that we locked to the 55,000 series cards that clearly could run on the 4,000 series cards, but we locked them here so that we can, make our official value. And then they're going to justify the price with, the 4090 was $1,600 MSRP. This is $1,400. It's a deal. It's not a deal because they're all overpriced.
And then I'm going to look at them. And then I'm gonna look at them when they say that 5080. They say, "Oh yeah, it's $1,400 and it's more powerful than a 4090." Then I'm gonna be like, "How much VRAM is on that thing? 16 gigs? Oh no, bro. I'll keep my 24." So yeah, you'll probably be able to brute force and get a little bit better texture quality. But when it comes to running things at 4K and higher frame rates, I'm gonna be laughing to the bank with my 24 gigs of VRAM.
Right, like the 3090 and 3090 Ti that had like 24 gigs of VRAM, still viable cards today. Yeah, they're not as good in pure rasterization, and the older generation of the card means that they're not with newer games coming out, they're not hitting the same benchmarks they were with new games when it was brand new. But that VRAM, you don't that have an issue. That VRAM is holding strong. You're not having the kind of issues that someone with a 3070 Ti is having. You got a 3070 Ti, you're a little upset, because essentially what NVIDIA did was they gave you a card that had great features, but not enough VRAM to really fully utilize what that card was capable of doing. And so they did that so that like you would be in 2024 looking at a new GPU. Just keep it a buck, which is why they're not, and they go the bare minimum on upgrades on VRAM, because they know when it comes to more advancements and as time goes on, VRAM usage gets higher.
What is 32 gigs of VRAM going to look like on a 5090? What is that going to look like?
Why even need it?
Why? I'm like, why? Why? Nothing.
Games right now ain't really hitting 16 gigs of VRAM yet, but you're gonna give people 32 and then give 16 to the very next card. That's just crazy. Next card.
I'm like, so, what happened to 24? Like, I would have been with them if they would have been like, all right, 32 gigs for the 5090, 5080 is gonna be 24. But what that's what this means though. There will be a 5080 that will have 24 gigs of VRAM. It's either going to be a 5080 Ti or a 5080 Super.
Well, whatever it is, it better have the same code name for the chipset that the other 5080 has. If not, people will be upset, because they tried that last time. That's how people found out they were trying to pass off a 4070 as a 4080. Here's a 12 gigabyte 4080 and then the 16 gigabyte 4080, but like the difference was like the way they made it appears that the difference was just a difference in VRAM, and so therefore one's cheaper, but it wasn't. It was a completely different card with completely different performance. It was just like, nah, fam, we like you can't get one over on the PC community like that. Like, yeah, you may own the market, you may have a monopoly, but people ain't dumb, so we'll see what happens. Truly says,
yeah, go ahead.
If Trump is president, his goal is to ban violent video games.
Oh my God.
If Trump becomes president,
we got bigger problems.
He ain't banning. Yeah, we got way bigger. He ain't banning anything. He's not banning video games. I don't care what he said. So
he did say that crap though. I was like, what?
He said it, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and I don't think anyone cares, honestly. He's not banning video games. It's just not happening. But violent video games, think about how many violent video games are out there. Think about how much money is generated in gaming in the United States. Think about what's coming in the next year or two in GTA 6, which is clearly going to be super violent. They're not banning GTA 6. So just like, no, it's just not happening. So Ramon says, what do you think the new 50 series exclusive feature might be? I have no idea. I really don't. It's not going to be better ray tracing. Because it's guaranteed to do that. Every generation.
Upscaling? Could they tie 4.0 to it? DLSS 4.0?
Oh yeah, I think that's a given. I think DLSS 4.0 will be exclusive to the 5000 series cards, but like they did with DLSS 3, once they had a really innovative feature added to DLSS, they gave it to everyone.
They gave it to everyone. Yeah, they did. Because they even gave it to 3090s and stuff. And I was like,
yeah,
they don't even do it.
Yeah, so when they hit DLSS 3.5, that's when they added ray reconstruction in DLS. And so that's when they started upscaling ray tracing, which made ray tracing far easier to run on mid-range cards. And then they gave it to everyone else. And so, and that includes frame generation and everything else. So their exclusive features are only going to be exclusive for like a year, if that. And then once they get to something but whatever thing they come out with that's super innovative, who knows? Because that's the thing that even though people hate NVIDIA, you have to respect them for. Unlike AMD, they're not just copying what their rivals are doing. They were the first ones to really introduce ray tracing into gaming. They were the first ones to start doing machine learning, AI for upscaling. They were the first ones to come up with frame generation, whether people call it fake frames or not. It helps people's performance better. And as far when you're playing, you don't care. When you turn on DLAA, which AMD does not have their own anti-aliasing solution, when you turn those things on, it looks better than native temporal anti-aliasing and native resolution. When you turn those things on, these are features that are fantastic. And as a content creator like me and Forte, they were the first ones to start using AV1 encoders. AV1 encoders makes it so that you can get 4K resolution streaming. It makes it so that you can record games at higher resolutions and higher fidelity and then not completely destroy your storage. It's so much better. And they push these things so that like Twitch now is now adding an AV1 encoder so that we get better streams with Twitch. We get better streams with YouTube. I'm using an AV1 encoder right now to stream this. I'm not saying NVIDIA made it, but they were the first ones to adopt it and to push it and put it in their GPU so that it became something that became adopted, OBS and other services that do these things. Like this is something that people, whether they hate NVIDIA or not, they have to respect that they push the envelope and they don't rest on their laurels. No matter how much money they're making off of AI in data center, which is way more than what they're making in gaming.
Way more than making off those cards.
But guaranteed, when they come out at CES in January and they show off these cards, they're gonna be showing you something you ain't seen before. And then all you're gonna get from AMD is, So, all right, so 6 months later, so we have our own version, adrenaline, blood bleed speak. Yeah, so like we got our own version of that now, and it's like a watered down version that's not anywhere near as good. AMD won't be real competition until AMD starts doing innovative stuff that NVIDIA doesn't have. That's when people will pay attention to AMD and be like, okay, I'll actually like realistically look at them as an option for my main rig. Until then, they're always going to be second fiddle. Anyway, if that is all the questions, did I miss something else?
Let's see.
I don't see anything else. But if y'all ain't got nothing else, we can go ahead and wrap this up. Forte, it's been awesome 200 episodes. Like when we started doing this, we didn't even have a name for the podcast. It was just us coming together and just doing whatever.
Just doing whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, it's been awesome, man. Can't wait to do more.
Yeah, definitely, man. As always, it's good to do things. It's easy to do things with people that you like, and it's even better when you do it with your friends.
Very true, very true. I think we can do one more question. This is from Miko. Yeah. He says, I've got a 750 Ti desktop and
a 3050 Ti laptop.
I think he means a 3070 Ti desktop, but in a 3050 Ti laptop. I'm a console gamer that plays very little games on PC, but want to upgrade for future Microsoft games. What can I upgrade desktop that would be better than my PS5? Okay, so when you say upgrade desktop, are you talking, because I need more information than what you provided, because I don't know the full specs of your PC, Miko. So I don't want to just recommend the GPU and say, yeah, well, that'll make your PC better than your PS5. But what if you're running you're really running like a mechanical hard drive? Like, that's not better.
It really depends on the games you're trying to play too.
True. Like, what if you got like 8 gigs of actual RAM, not VRAM, actual RAM? Because there's people who don't know the difference of that.
I ain't had 8 gigs of RAM in 20 years.
Hey, some people. What if, and what if you bought your PC from Walmart and your RAM's not even dual channel? What if
they get you one stick?
Yeah, one stick. Which is apparently a thing. Because shout out to Doc Dark out there. Doc Dark, that's the PC he had, and a lot of people told him, "Hey, look, man, upgrade your RAM, bro." What if your motherboard is a PCIe 3.0? And that really limits you in the future with like upgrading. So if you're talking about future proofing, but are you talking about upgrading your current PC, Miko, or are you talking about buying or building a brand new one? Because that's I would need to know what your current PC is more than just the GPU to see whether that's worth upgrading or not. A brand new PC, perfect. Okay, so this is what you want to do. You want to get a PCIe 5.0 motherboard. That's future proofing. Even if you have a GPU that's PCIe 4.0, or even if you got storage, NVMe storage that's 4.0. Once things start to switch over to 5.0 and things become more reasonable to pay for, you already have a motherboard that supports that. Now, you need to have 5.0 RAM, because when it comes to RAM, you can't use 4.0 RAM on a 5.0 motherboard, but you start there. MSI makes a very high quality, very good motherboard. There's a lot of quality motherboards out there. So you have your choice there. I would say CPU wise, go with AMD. Do not touch Intel right now. Intel really ished the bed with the 13th and 14th generation CPUs, and they are degrading at a much higher rate than they should. And Intel definitely, its response to that definitely was not very good either. So I would say go with AMD. 5800X 3D Forte, is that the most popular right now?
Yeah, that's the most popular, but for like an extra like $40, you can go to the 7700 X3D, and that would be the one I would go with.
There you go. I would say if you got a 4070 is like $500, $550. That's a better GPU than what's in the PS5 Pro. So that would be a good GPU to rock with. Cases, they're making cases now. Talk about future proofing. The cases with like the wraparound tempered glass. I think those are ATX cases that are accommodating how big GPUs are getting. So that would be perfect. Get one of those kind of cases. My current case right now doesn't do that, but it is a NZXT H7 Flow, which is fantastic for cooling and keeping everything cool and just good space. I can fit a 360 millimeter AIO cooler at the top if I want. If I wanted the 4090 in here, I could fit that with no problem. So there are a lot of great cases. Gamer Nexus Gamer Nexus does a roundup of the best cases on an annual basis. Check out their YouTube channel. Any of the cases that they recommend will be good to go. Will be good for you.
Micro Center right now has the bundle: AMD Ryzen 5 7600 X3D, 32 gigs of G.Skill memory, 2-channel 2x16, and a B650 motherboard, Wi-Fi adapter, ATX compatible AM5 motherboard, all together for $449.
Yo, that's a great deal. And honestly,
$449 for a motherboard, processor, and 32 gigs of RAM.
if you're going to build a PC today, like I built one last year, the one I'm currently using now. When I build my daughter's PC in another year or two, I'm definitely looking towards bundles. Maybe not so much with her because she wants all pink and white PC. Yeah. So I gotta make some concessions just so I get the visual aesthetic correct. But for my next PC or my son's next PC, I'm definitely taking advantage of bundles that Micro Center has. And Miko, I don't know where you live or if a Micro Center is even in your state or not. But if you're fortunate enough to have a Micro Center nearby, take advantage of that. Bundles are awesome. And
those bundle deals are really nice.
Those bundles deals are really good. So you want to take advantage of that. Also, minimum 32 gigs of VRAM. Like 16 is fine, but most games will use more than 16 gigs of actual RAM. I said VRAM before, but I meant actual RAM. Make sure it's dual channel. You're looking at 2 RAM sticks of 16 gigs of RAM. That's the best way to go. And power supply wise, just go ahead and get yourself 1,000 watt minimum gold rated power supply. And go with the big brands. Because power supplies are very, very important. You don't want to. I don't want to take chances with any lower brand power supplies, because if you get a bad power supply, it can really ruin the rest of your components. Mm-hmm. Go with EVGA. Go with doesn't matter. Thermaltake does a good one, I think. Cooler Master make good ones.
I got a Corsair one.
Yeah, Corsair makes good. Just go with a big brand. Make sure it's at least gold rated. Go 1,000 watts, because if you're looking at future proofing, if you decide to upgrade your GPU or add in like a capture card or whatever, you don't want that the power spikes that you get eventually start like getting your motherboard into a position where there's not enough power in the power supply to actually support the power spikes, and it starts shutting down your PC. So you want to make sure that you got a power supply that can support upgrading further from where you're currently going to be at. 1,000 watts will make sure that you're good to go for a long time. And I think that's it. Anything else you want to add, Forte?
He said, "I don't want a dark situation." No,
nobody. I think I've been watching his videos. I gave him a recommendation on one of his videos. I think his journey is very interesting, because I think a lot of people will fall into that category, or they have fallen into that category, but they're not as open and honest and willing to learn as Dark is. And most of them just say, "Oh, well, I tried PC game and it wasn't for me." But really, right, they had an issue that they weren't able to figure out, and they were too either they were too ashamed to ask for help to figure it out, or they did ask for help and some dickhead PC gamer was like, "Oh, you don't know how to do that." You should. I hate people who act like that. So just shout out to him, because he's open to listening, and people are giving him good feedback. The majority of what I've seen has been true stuff and not like stupid feedback. So yeah. The
only thing I will add, and anybody that's buying a PC or building their own PC, don't be afraid to like not go balls to the wall with all your components and stuff. Just like if you got the money, go for it. But if you don't, just remember that, like, if I tell people all the time, my PC that I have now is basically a derivative of probably 3 PCs that I had over the course of the last 20 years. Like, my motherboard and processor and memory have went through 3 GPUs. It went from a 1080 Ti to a 2080 Super to a 3070 Ti. So actually 4, because I'm on a 4090. And that's been since, I want to say, 2015. So over 9 years, you know, one of those I probably didn't want to do because, you know, my 1080 Ti went out. So I wouldn't have never gotten the 2080 if it didn't. I would have just jumped straight to a 3 series. But my PC, my motherboard and processor and RAM are still doing me perfectly fine now, 9 years later, and all I did was keep upgrading my GPU, and I had to upgrade my power supply because I was only on 750 watts. Now I'm on 1,000 because of the 4090. But my next upgrade, I know I don't have to do anything to a GPU for a while, like a good while. Now I can do the opposite that I did, work on upgrading my CPU, my memory, my motherboard, and then that can become the new catalyst for what my next PC can end up being in the next 7, 8, 9 years later on when I do make that decision to upgrade my GPU again. So don't be afraid to get what's going to make your games run better, because the way I always look at it, if once you start seeing bottlenecks in your game, see where those bottlenecks are coming from. If it's not coming from something that you have to upgrade, don't upgrade it. Upgrade when you have to upgrade. And that's the one, and your stuff will last you way longer than you think. And you'll get way more mileage out of your PC, because that's when it gets expensive as a PC gamer, when you're going out and upgrading when you don't have to. You can literally take the PC that you have and go 5, 6, 7 years, even longer than a console, and get better performance overall over that time period, and then just upgrade intermittently when you have to for the things that you need to upgrade for. And then you'll have a really great experience on your PC at that point.
I'll also add this one last thing, and then we can get going. I recommend everyone do this at least once a year. Blow out your Windows. Just sucks. Okay, it just sucks.
A completely clean reset of it.
Clean set of Windows OS on an annual basis, because what's going to end up happening is that Windows, you're going to get errors in your configuration, and with further updates, those errors will persist, and then you'll get little weird things happening, and then I remember at one time, anytime I could not play DX12 games. DX12 games would not perform correctly on my PC, and it was a Windows issue. It wasn't nothing. It wasn't my GPU. I blew out my firmware and restarted it. I had done all these other different things. What I actually fixed it was me just I've completely forgot to start fresh on a fresh Windows OS, and do a new image, a new clean image. And when I did that, all the issues went away. So take also what I do, and I recommend this, don't just have one storage. Just don't have just one SSD and have everything on it. That's not very efficient. Have your OS on one SSD. Put your games on a completely separate SSD. This makes it easier when you need to just blow out Windows. You can just do an image of your current configuration, where you'll have, maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you just want to offload all your data for your PC to a drive or something like that, or external SSD or external hard drive. Just kind of save your stuff and your data and your programs. Do a whole new OS. Your games are fine. All you'll need to do is just when you reinstall your launchers, you're just going to need to figure out whatever process it is to get that launcher to recognize your drive again and the games for your account. Outside of that, you're good to go. But that is much easier and less of a headache than dealing with trying to troubleshoot Windows and the issues that Windows has. Once a year, back up important data, format, and reinstall. And you should be backing up your data consistently anyway, because if your SSD dies on you and you don't have a backup, you just lost a whole bunch of stuff.
Man, I have 6 SSDs and one platter drive for mass storage. So I have 7 in my system.
7?
7 hard drives.
I have I have 3 internal and 1 external. My 1 external is where I back up like all my recordings for gameplay, the podcast, and any videos I do. I put all that stuff on there, and then I have a SATA SSD that I have all of my content creation for, and I got a NVMe SSD for my games, and then I got another NVMe SSD. Both of them are super fast. I got the Western Digital WD Black SN850X. They were on sale for they were on sale for like dirt cheap like a year ago, and yeah, I just put both of those in my system and just re-imaged off of my Samsungs that I were using and put them on there. They're fantastic, but that's how I got everything separated like that. So technically, all around, I got 4 different storages for my PC.
I had the Samsung SN 980 Evo Pro for my main drive, which is 1 terabyte. For my game drive, I have the Western Digital 850 NVMe. That's for my games. And then I have, like I said, I have the Platter drive, which is mass storage, which is 4 terabytes. And then I have 2 T5s external. Both are 1 terabyte. And then I have 2 standard, like standards, the one you can put on the back of your case that installs through your 2 SSDs, 2 500 gig SSDs there. SATA SSDs. Yep, I have 2 of those and those are the ones that I keep all backup information because I barely use them. They're just mostly just to store like pictures and files and stuff that I don't want to ever lose because I could just disconnect it with the SATA drive and just put it somewhere if I don't need it. But the workhorses are, shoot, man, those people don't understand how good those T5s. I want a T7 because it's a little bit faster, but I don't want to spend $300 for a 1 terabyte T7 when the T5s are just perfectly fine.
Yeah. I think that's about it. You ready to get up out of here, man?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Appreciate you guys. Had a great show as usual. 200 episodes down. We will see you guys next week on this channel, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 201. In the meantime, enjoy your games as usual. Have a good night. We will likely, if I have the time for it, I'll try to do Alien Isolation live stream this weekend. What day? I don't know for certain, but we'll figure it out. I don't even own the game, so I need to figure out. I'm gonna check Green Man Gaming and see how much it costs right now.
I'm checking it now.
But we will see you guys later. Enjoy your night, guys. Peace.
Peace. Of course, it wouldn't be on there.